Hi. Recently, I went on a walk here on the west side of Saginaw, Michigan, and interestingly, whenever I go for a walk, and if I see excavation of any sort being done, I always stop and check because there is almost always something historically or prehistorically to be found. Saginaw has a rich history in the lumbering era back in the 1800s, and it also has a very rich prehistory. And so it's been amazing to me over the years what I've found just looking through dirt that's been excavated for any manner of things. Now, I found three interesting things the other day that I want to share with you. And I have them set up here, but I'm going to get into a close-up on these in just a moment. Now, after I show you these, I'm going to go ahead and show you a clip that I took the day that I found these as I was actually looking for them. So let's go ahead and take a look at these, one of which I think is a pretty cool, actually, artifact, half of an artifact. So let's take a closer look. Okay, the first piece that I'd like to show you is this one. Now this, it's clay. It's air-hardened clay. It was never fired, but the depression in this makes me feel that this was actually a piece that was used in ancient times. The depression, and again, this is just half of it, but the depression is such that I could easily see a person taking their hand and pressing into the soft clay to form the depression. And actually they could have even used a rock to press into it, and then it was let harden. So that might indicate to me that it was prior to the use of pottery, and if that's the case, it would predate the early woodland period here in Saginaw, going back quite a ways. Now, there are some interesting things embedded in the clay, and one is this little, I hope you can see this, it's a little shell, and it does not look like like the kind of clam that I would be used to seeing in the Saginaw rivers now, or that I've found excavated by the groundhogs over on Ojibwa Island. It's small. Part of me wants to dig that out and identify it, but I don't want to damage this piece or possibly damage the shell, because it would be quite fragile. It's very thin. And then here is a piece of bone or shell. Cylindrical. It looks to me like that may have been worked also by the hand of ancient man. There are other small white flecks here and there that would be either bone or shell. There's a brown fleck or piece right here. I'm not sure what that is. It's softer. Well, it just fell out. So anyways, on the edge here, interestingly to me, you can see the stratification or layering of the clay as it was laid down, in ancient times by whatever water and sedimentary processes were going on then. Now, this piece, I believe that it was rounded, but it wasn't smooth. It wasn't made nice like later pots were made. Okay, so let's move that aside for a moment. Now this is another piece of clay, and it's not been worked at all. But one thing I like about this, and the same with the other one, is that you can see the stratification or layering. Now I have a little bit of water here in this really nifty 1940s pitcher, and I want to just dampen this, because when you dampen it, it brings out, you can see the layering much better than when it's dry. There's a layer here, another layer here, dark layer, thin dark layer, lighter layer, thick dark layer. And I'm not a geologist, I don't know what that indicates, just that I think it's pretty fascinating to be able to see that layering. There are not a lot of inclusions in this one, like was in the first piece that I showed you. Here is I think that's a scar from when they were actually excavating it. But there's a lot of small rocks in this, and there are some tiny white flecks too, like in what I'm going to call a very crude primitive bowl. It was probably even single use, made, you know, right there on the spot for whatever the ancient people were doing at that time. There. Now this is another piece of the hardened clay. Again, this has not been worked, but again, the layering, especially right here, you can see much more defined the dark layers, the various lighter layers. There's a flat stone right here. I don't think it's been worked. I think that's just natural. But okay, clay is found quite commonly here in Saginaw. As you dig down varying depths, I've hit it at as shallow as about 4 feet, but then I've been in other places where I dug down over 12 feet before I would hit the soft clay, which was the basic material for later for the Native American people making the pottery here in the Saginaw Valley. So wanted to just bring that to you. Next, I'm going to show you a clip of where I actually found these, and just going to talk briefly with a guy named Woody who owns the property that these were on. So let's take a look at that clip. I'm in Saginaw. I'm on the corner of Michigan and Webster, yeah, and they're doing some digging here. There's a couple piles of dirt, and whenever I go for a walk, if I see fresh dirt and there's no trespassing signs on it, and sometimes even if there is, I stop and look. Now I found 2 pieces that I shot just a moment ago, and it didn't take, so I'm going to I will take pictures of those when I get back home. But I'm looking for pieces, and I found a piece over there of hardened clay that I believe might be part of an Indian bowl. So I'll do more investigation on that when I get home. And then I found several other pieces of hardened clay that are interesting. And then 2, I found what I think might be a fragment of a meteorite, and it is well, I can show you that right now, I think. Where did it go? It's in my pocket here. Let me show you. It's this. It's very heavy. It is metallic. I believe it's iron. So I want to investigate that more when I get home. The only other thing I found here right now was a half of a Saginaw brick that has Saginaw written on it, as you see. Or, I mean, sag. A couple pieces of glass. But here in Saginaw, because we were such a huge lumbering city back in the 1800s, you never know what you're going to find when digging's done. So that's cool. You doing the digging? Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Sure. It's nothing bad. Whenever I see fresh dirt turned over, because I love the history of Saginaw, I always stop and look, because you never know what you're going to find.
Right, there's artifacts
everywhere here.
everywhere.
So I hope you don't mind that I was looking. I found a few things that kind of I want to check into and see,
sure.
and if there are anything, I'll let you know.
Cool,
Okay.
man. I'm always a history enthusiast about Saginaw.
Okay.
You know.
Well,
You
sometimes
can go along the riverbank.
I do.
Find the arrowheads.
I do.
Always.
I have a large collection of them.
Do you really?
Sometime I'll stop and talk to you more, maybe bring you some to show. By the way, I think what you've done here on this corner is awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's still a work in progress. A lot of people get it, some people don't, but I just got to keep chugging ahead. The other side, it's almost like I got an outdoor restaurant.
Yeah.
Here, you know.
Really cool.
Thank you. Thank
All right.
you very much.
Talk with you later.
Yep.
can't think of his name. I think his name is Woody. And he started out with a little corner there where he had a restaurant where you could just get hot dogs. And he's expanded, and it's like he's got an outdoor cafe there. It's really cool. Amazing person with a lot of ambition, So since I have his permission to look, I want to check out a little bit more here and see. There's some large rocks, but the rocks don't seem to show any work on them. Here's a big one, and it has a large depression in it, but I'm not taking that home, as I probably couldn't. I'd like to see what that cloth is up there, because this is dry enough that it could have preserved cloth, but I don't know if I can reach that or not. I'm going to try, I think. See what it is. Oh, that's just like garden cloth. But again, there's 2 more Saginaw bricks and that hunk of cement up there, and it's pretty cool. So anyways, I'll show you those pieces at home when I start working on them. So thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you all later.